You know that feeling when someone asks you a simple question in English and suddenly your mind just goes completely blank? Like, you know the answer. You've studied English for years. You understand everything they said. But when it's time to speak, nothing comes out.
It's like your brain just shuts down right at the worst moment.
Exactly. And the worst part? Everyone is looking at you, waiting. And the longer the silence goes, the more nervous you get. And the more nervous you get, the harder it becomes to say anything at all.
I remember this one time I was in a meeting, an international meeting, and my manager asked me a question, a simple question, something I knew the answer to in my own language immediately. But in English, I just froze.
What did you do?
I said, yes, I think, and then I just nodded. I nodded like I understood everything and said nothing useful at all.
Oh, James. But honestly, I think almost every English learner has had that exact moment, that freezing moment, that panic.
And if you're listening to this right now, and you've felt that too, this video is for you.
Welcome to Elevate Your English. I'm Sarah.
And I'm James.
And today we're talking about something very real, very honest. Why you freeze while speaking English, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
So, Sarah, let's start from the beginning. Because I think a lot of people feel like freezing is their personal problem, like something is wrong with them specifically.
Right. And that's the first thing I want to say today. It is not just you. This is one of the most common experiences for English learners around the world, at every level. Even intermediate and advanced learners freeze sometimes.
So, what exactly is happening when someone freezes? Like, what's going on inside the brain?
Okay, so imagine your brain is like a computer. When you're speaking your first language, everything runs smoothly, right? You don't think about grammar. You don't search for words. It just flows automatically.
Like breathing almost.
Exactly like breathing. But when you're speaking English, especially if you haven't practiced speaking enough, your brain is doing multiple things at the same time. It's trying to find the right word. It's checking the grammar. It's thinking about your pronunciation. It's also watching the other person's face to see if they understand you.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. And when your brain gets overloaded with all of that at once, it freezes. Just like a computer with too many tabs open.
Oh, that is such a perfect comparison. Too many tabs open. I feel that physically.
And then there's the emotional side too. Because it's not just mental overload. There's also fear. Fear of making a mistake. Fear of sounding stupid. Fear of being judged.
The judgment fear is real. I think that one is actually bigger than people admit.
So much bigger. And what happens is, the moment you start worrying about how you sound, you stop focusing on what you're saying. And that's when the freezing happens.
It's like the fear itself causes the problem.
Perfectly said. The fear creates the freeze.
So let's talk about some specific situations, because I think when people hear their own experience described out loud, it helps. It makes them feel less alone.
Yes, absolutely. So, what are the most common situations where people freeze?
Okay, situation number 1. And this is a very classic one. You're having a conversation in English. Everything is going fine. And then suddenly, the other person uses a word or phrase you don't know.
Oh, yes.
And instead of just asking them to explain, you panic. You pretend you understood. You nod. You say, yes, yes. And then the entire conversation falls apart because you're lost.
The fake nod. Oh, we've all done the fake nod.
The fake nod is universal.
But why do we do that? Why don't we just say, sorry, I didn't understand that word?
Because it feels embarrassing. It feels like admitting weakness. Like, everyone else understood, why didn't I?
But here's the thing. In most cases, the other person would be completely happy to explain. It's actually normal to ask for clarification. Even native speakers ask each other to explain things sometimes.
That's true. It's not a sign of weakness. It's actually good communication.
Exactly. Okay, what's another common situation?
Phone calls.
Oh no, phone calls in English.
For some reason, phone calls are absolutely terrifying for English learners. Because on a phone call, you can't see the person's face. You can't read their expressions. You only have the voice. And if you miss something, you have to ask them to repeat, which already feels awkward.
And if you're calling somewhere official, like a bank or a hospital or a government office, the stakes feel even higher.
I had a friend, let me call him Arjun. Brilliant guy, very intelligent, reads English perfectly, understands movies and podcasts without subtitles. But he would ask his wife to make all his phone calls in English.
That's so relatable, though, because reading and listening feel safe. Nobody is watching you. Nobody is waiting for your response. But speaking, especially live speaking, is completely different.
It's the live part that's scary. There's no delete button in a conversation.
No delete button. I love that. That's exactly it.
And then there's the third situation, speaking in a group, like in a meeting or a class or even just a group of friends where some people are more fluent than others.
Oh, this one is painful, because you have something to say. You know what you want to say, but you're trying to find the perfect words first. And while you're searching for the perfect words, someone else says something. The conversation moves on, and your moment is gone.
And then you feel frustrated, not just nervous, actually frustrated, because you had a thought and you couldn't express it.
And that frustration, over time, it starts to affect your confidence. You start telling yourself, I'm just not good at speaking English. But that's not true. You just haven't had enough practice in live, real situations.
Which brings us to something important, because I think a lot of people study English in a very specific way. They read, they do grammar exercises, they watch videos, but they almost never practice actually speaking.
Right, and then they're surprised when speaking feels difficult. But it's like, imagine someone who reads every book about swimming. They know the theory perfectly, but they've never been in water. Can they swim?
Absolutely not.
Speaking English is the same. You have to actually do it, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable.
Okay, so let's talk about what actually helps, because I don't want this to just be a "here's why your life is hard" podcast.
Yes, let's actually fix this.
So the first thing that genuinely helped me, and this sounds almost too simple, was accepting that mistakes are part of the process. Not just saying it, but actually believing it.
Can you talk about that more? Because I think people hear, it's okay to make mistakes all the time, and it doesn't really land.
Yeah, because it sounds like just something people say to make you feel better. But here's what I mean. When I started thinking of every English conversation as practice, not as a test, everything changed. A test has a right answer and a wrong answer. Practice just has attempts, and every attempt teaches you something.
So you stopped performing and started practicing.
Exactly. And the moment I stopped trying to be perfect, I started actually speaking more. And the more I spoke, the more natural it became.
That's really powerful. And I think connected to that is something I call speaking before thinking, which sounds counterintuitive.
What do you mean?
So most learners, especially careful, intelligent learners, they think first. They build the whole sentence in their head. They check the grammar. They find the right words. And then they speak. And that process takes so long that either they freeze or the conversation moves on without them.
Right, the over-preparation freeze.
Yes. So what I practiced was starting to speak before I had the perfect sentence ready. Just open your mouth and begin. Even if you start with, well, I think, that's fine. Native speakers do that all the time. They use filler words while their brain catches up.
Oh, that's interesting. So filler words aren't a sign of weakness?
Not at all. Well, you know, I mean, actually, these are totally normal. They give your brain a second to process, and they keep the conversation going instead of letting an awkward silence grow.
I wish someone had told me that earlier. I used to think every pause was a failure.
So many learners feel that way, but pauses are human. Pauses are normal.
What about the vocabulary problem? Because I think a lot of freezing happens specifically because you can't find the word you need.
Yes, and this is where something called paraphrasing becomes your best friend. Paraphrasing means if you don't know the exact word, you describe it instead.
Can you give an example?
Sure, let's say you forget the word umbrella. Instead of freezing, you say, the thing you hold over your head when it's raining. The other person immediately knows what you mean. Conversation continues, no freezing.
That's so practical. Because your goal in a conversation isn't to demonstrate your vocabulary, it's to communicate your idea.
Exactly. Communication is the goal, not perfection.
And I think another thing that really helps with freezing is exposure to real spoken English. Not textbook English, not formal written English, but the kind of English people actually use when they talk to each other.
Yes, because there's a huge difference between written English and spoken English. In spoken English, people use contractions. They leave sentences unfinished sometimes. They use casual phrases. It's much more relaxed than what you read in a grammar book.
And when you're only exposed to formal written English, real conversations feel foreign, even if your grammar is technically correct.
So podcasts like this one, or English YouTube channels, English movies with subtitles, conversations with real people, all of that builds what I call your spoken English ear. You start to recognize patterns, natural rhythms, common phrases.
And slowly, very slowly, but definitely, speaking starts to feel less like translating and more like expressing.
That's the shift. That's when fluency starts to happen. Not when you know every grammar rule, but when expressing yourself in English starts to feel natural.
And I want to say one more thing about this, because I think it's important. The people who improve the fastest at speaking English are not necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who are willing to be uncomfortable, who speak even when they're nervous, who make mistakes in front of people and keep going anyway.
Courage over perfection. Every time.
Every single time.
Okay, before we move to our vocabulary section, we have a little challenge for you. A mini challenge.
And this one is designed specifically for the freeze problem.
Here it is. Today, find one person, just one, and start a conversation with them in English. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be as simple as asking someone, "How was your day?" Or telling a colleague, "I really liked that idea you shared."
The only rule is, you start it. You don't wait for them to speak first. You initiate.
Because one of the biggest parts of freezing is the waiting. Waiting for the perfect moment. Waiting until you feel ready. And that moment never comes if you keep waiting.
So today, you go first. One conversation. That's it.
And if you do it, come tell us in the comments. We read every single comment. We want to hear your experience.
Okay, let's do a quick recap of what we talked about today.
So, we talked about why freezing happens. It's a combination of mental overload and emotional fear. Your brain is doing too much at once, and fear of judgment makes it worse.
We talked about the most common situations: not understanding a word and fake nodding through it, phone calls in English, and speaking in groups when you have something to say but can't get it out in time.
And then we talked about what actually helps. Accepting mistakes as part of practice, not as failure. Starting to speak before you have the perfect sentence ready. Using filler words naturally. Paraphrasing when you don't know a word. And exposing yourself to real, natural spoken English regularly.
And we gave you one challenge. Start one English conversation today. You go first.
Small steps, consistent steps. That's how fluency is built.
And now, one of our favorite parts of every episode, the vocabulary section.
We've picked 10 words from today's conversation. Words that are useful, intermediate level, and that you can start using right away.
Let's go through them together.
Word 1. Overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. O-V-E-R-W-H-E-L-M-E-D. Overwhelmed. This means feeling like you have too much to deal with at one time. Too much emotion, too much work, too much pressure. Example sentence. When I have to speak English in front of many people, I feel completely overwhelmed.
Speaking practice question. Can you describe a time when you felt overwhelmed? What happened?
Word 2. Hesitate. Hesitate. H-E-S-I-T-A-T-E. Hesitate. This means to pause before doing something, usually because you are nervous or unsure. Example sentence. I often hesitate before speaking English because I'm afraid of making a mistake.
Speaking practice question. What is one situation in your life where you often hesitate? Why?
Word 3. Fluent. Fluent. F-L-U-E-N-T. Fluent. This means able to speak a language easily, smoothly, and naturally without stopping too much. Example sentence. She has been studying English for 5 years and is now quite fluent in everyday conversations. Speaking practice question.
Do you consider yourself fluent in English yet? What does fluency mean to you personally?
Word 4. Clarification. Clarification. C-L-A-R-I-F-I-C-A-T-I-O-N. Clarification. This means an explanation that makes something easier to understand. When you ask for clarification, you're asking someone to explain something more clearly. Example sentence. I asked my teacher for clarification because I didn't understand the grammar rule she explained. Speaking practice question.
How do you usually ask for clarification in English? Do you feel comfortable doing it?
Word 5. Paraphrase. Paraphrase. P-A-R-A-P-H-R-A-S-E. Paraphrase. This means to express the same idea using different words, usually simpler or clearer words. Example sentence. When I forgot the word exhausted, I paraphrased and said very, very tired instead. Speaking practice question.
Try to paraphrase this sentence using your own words. I am feeling under the weather today.
Word 6. Confidence. Confidence. C-O-N-F-I-D-E-N-C-E. Confidence. This means the feeling that you can do something well, believing in your own ability. Example sentence. Every time I finish a difficult English conversation, my confidence grows a little more.
Speaking practice question. What is one thing you do that helps you feel more confident before speaking English?
Word 7. Initiate. Initiate. I-N-I-T-I-A-T-E. Initiate. This means to begin something, to take the first step, to start an action. Example sentence. It's hard for me to initiate a conversation in English, but once I start, it becomes easier. Speaking practice question.
Can you think of a time when you initiated a conversation in English? How did it feel?
Word 8. Consistent. Consistent. C-O-N-S-I-S-T-E-N-T. Consistent. This means doing something regularly without stopping, the same quality or effort every time. Example sentence. The most important thing in learning any language is to be consistent. Practice a little every single day. Speaking practice question.
What is one habit in your life where you are very consistent? How did you build that habit?
Word 9. Exposure. Exposure. E-X-P-O-S-U-R-E. Exposure. This means the experience of coming into contact with something. In language learning, it means hearing and seeing English regularly in real situations. Example sentence. Listening to English podcasts every day gave me a lot of exposure to natural spoken English. Speaking practice question. How do you get exposure to English in your daily life? What works best for you? Word 10. Courageous. Courageous. C-O-U-R-A-G-E-O-U-S. Courageous. This means having the courage to do something even when it is scary or difficult. Example sentence. Every time you speak English, even though you're nervous, you are being courageous. Speaking practice question. Can you describe one moment in your life, big or small, when you were courageous? What did you do? So, if you're someone who freezes while speaking English, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not stupid. You are not just bad at languages.
You are someone who is trying to do something genuinely difficult. You are trying to express yourself, your thoughts, your personality, your humor, your ideas, in a language that is not the one you grew up with.
That takes courage. Real courage.
And every single time you try, even when it doesn't go perfectly, even when you freeze, even when you say the wrong word or forget a grammar rule, you are building something. Slowly, quietly, but definitely.
Fluency is not a door that suddenly opens one day. It's more like a path. And every conversation you have, every attempt, every mistake, every recovery is another step on that path.
So don't wait until you're perfect to start speaking. Start speaking so that you can become better.
The freeze will happen less and less, not because you'll never be nervous again, but because you'll have enough experience to keep going even when you are.
Keep going. That's really the whole secret.
Keep going.
If this video helped you today, even just a little, we'd love for you to subscribe to Elevate Your English.
We make video like this every alternate days. Real conversations, real topics, real English. No boring textbooks, no grammar lectures. Just two people talking about things that actually matter to English learners.
And if you have a topic you'd like us to cover, something you struggle with, something you're curious about, leave it in the comments. We genuinely read them, and your suggestion might become our next video.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. It really means a lot.
Take care of yourselves. And remember,
Take care of yourselves and keep elevating your English.